Welcome to my show, simply entitled Women Influencers. I am Veronica CCIM, founder and CEO of Capstack Commercial, a commercial real estate company serving the greater Orlando area. Today's guest is a good friend and colleague, Amy Calandrino, CCIM and SIOR, founder of Beyond Commercial, a boutique firm specializing in the Winter Park, Florida area. As she allowed herself to be vulnerable, we spoke about mental health and the importance of self-awareness. Amy's story will definitely inspire. Please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe below. I welcome your comments and please share with someone who can benefit from this podcast. Hi, Amy. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Veronica. It's so great to be here.
Well, I'm so happy you're here, Amy. I know we just actually concluded recording an episode on your podcast, so I'm very happy that we get to switch chairs, and now you're on my podcast. So, if you don't mind, I just want to jump right in. I am
Yeah.
so very curious and so excited for you to share your story, how you grew up in your environment, and how you got to where you are today.
Well, yeah. So a lot of people don't know this, but I'm from Vermont originally, and both of my parents were blue collar. Both did not go to college. I grew up in a very socioeconomically disadvantaged environment. And then one winter, they got sick of it and how challenging it was, and they wanted to bring us down to Florida for a better life. So they had $600 in a truck and a trailer, and we drove down to Florida. We actually broke down on the way and then actually had to live in a junkyard for a few days and then get another piece of a car sent to us. But anyways, we eventually made it to Florida. They found the homes that, the opportunities that they never could find before in Vermont. My dad worked for a juice plant down here. I ended up in Winter Garden. I went to West Orange High School. I ended up staying behind and going to Valencia College here. And then before going to Rollins, I have a very interesting path to me getting into commercial real estate. But the long and the short of it is that, I've worked full time, gone to school full time. I started my first business at age 13, which is a cleaning company. I delivered newspapers. I was a waitress, hostess, dishwasher. Nobody can beat my work ethic. But so yeah, when I was working for the law office, I just seemed to notice that there wasn't like the level of like quality like that our law firm had, and it was more of like, what do you want? Let me take your order. And I felt like there was a need for a more consultative approach, and so I already had my real estate license, and I spoke with some different people and decided to start to get into commercial real estate and fully transition to just commercial real estate in 2015, but I founded my brokerage actually in 2010. And today we're one of the most, prominent small boutique brokerages here in Orlando. My goal when I started my brokerage was to help small and medium-sized businesses reach their full potential. That remains our mission. And I help small and medium-sized businesses through their entire life cycle of commercial real estate. So I have a lot of repeat clients and some incredible relationships. But that's the long and the short of it. But I've been here in Orlando area since 1989, and it was definitely a challenging journey to get down here. But it's enabled me to have create great economic prosperity for others through the path that I've gone down.
Fantastic story. And funny enough, 1989 was when I actually moved to the United States from Asia. So, I mean, you're much younger than me, but nonetheless, I thought, wow, something to mention. But Amy, you have an incredible story, and I wanted to ask you about a challenge that comes to mind and how you overcame it. I believe people in our audience are probably going to be inspired by it, just knowing you. So please tell us.
Yeah, so I would definitely say I had a mental breakdown in 2021. It wasn't something I wanted to talk about publicly, but I ended up starting my podcast in 2022, and I since started writing a book, and I've decided to share that so I could be vulnerable with others and help to motivate others. I know that I can seem like I can do anything, and I can do anything, but I can't do everything. So often people, take on too much. And at that time, I definitely had taken on too much, especially with having two young children and suffering from postpartum depression. And I was just ready to, despite all the successes and seemingly everything seemed great. Um, I didn't really want to continue on with the brokerage. I didn't really want to continue on with everything. I just wanted everything to kind of like stop. And thankfully, I had some great mentors and people come to my help, and I finally asked for help, which I hadn't. I'm a very generous person, but I didn't share. And I think a few lessons I've definitely learned from that and are going to be in my book is I've definitely been a lot more open and authentic. I've been that way in the past, but during that period, for whatever reason, in 2020, 21, I just wanted to make everybody think I was like super mom and super broker, and didn't tell everybody that I was like, oh my gosh, I need help. So until it hit me and took me to my knees.
Wow. And thank you for allowing yourself to be vulnerable. I think that oftentimes when we're going through things just like you shared, we think that it's best not to tell anyone. But like you said, reaching out to others, you just never know how much support you're going to get if you only allow yourself, number one, to ask. And also, number two, to convince yourself that if you need help, help is out there. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that with us. I wanted to ask you about one important thing about influence. So you're a very giving person, and obviously you've probably influenced a lot of people. You've influenced me. But if there was one thing that comes to mind that you're most proud of that has impacted others, what would that be?
Yeah, so I'll give a shout out today to Chris Merritt, who was a intern at my husband's law office at the time. I still worked at my husband's law office, and I had started an internship program there, and she was an intern there. But the great thing is I'm there for anyone if they keep reaching out, and she's one of the few interns that have kept in contact with me. So we've had social lunches, we stayed in connection, and now she's been one of the top UCF alumni. And I've just seen her soar to great heights, and she's engaged and she's just killing it in business. And, just over a decade ago, she was an intern at my husband's law office. And so to see that, and then I really appreciate, I think one thing, interns and others that have maybe someone has given a lot to you. I think telling people how much that meant to you, it can be an energy source. So her reaching back out to me, as well as one other intern just in the last couple weeks, inspired me to restart the internship program at my firm. And so then I can start to maximize the impact for others. But I would say Chris Merritt, and that's Kris Merritt, Merritt. She's an incredibly bright knight, UCF alumni, and I'm just super proud of all that she's done. And I appreciate the personal relationship that she's kept on top of the professional one.
Wow, that's an awesome example of how someone like you, who's given much to others, actually just get it back by not necessarily anything, monetary or business, but just the satisfaction that you've seen someone succeed because of the internship program. So thank you for that. I wanted to ask you, Amy, if there was one piece of advice that you would give to our audience, what would that be?
Don't be afraid to say no. So I feel like you could really simplify your life if you learn how to say no. And when you learn to say no, don't be afraid of having gaps in your calendar. I find having space creates room for creativity and innovation, and helps me to come with great ideas for my clients, great ideas for my podcast, or maybe even gives me time to drop a text to one of my friends. And so I think we all want to keep our calendars like super full, but I think we need to be like strategic and allow ourselves to have space. And so don't be afraid to say no.
I love that. I love that because there are people who get so overwhelmed and burnt out so quickly because they don't know how to say no. So that's great advice. I think we've come to the part of our interview where I get to hand over the microphone to you and you get to ask me a question.
Well, I thought, talk about a challenging moment in your career. So I don't think we had a chance to talk about that on my podcast. And I'd just be curious, what do you feel helped to shape you in your career?
When I started my commercial real estate career, it was such a tough, I'd say, 5 years for me because I think that geographically I was so far away from my office, which at
Mm.
that time was in Maitland, and I live in Kissimmee, and I did not engage enough with my office to where I had direction as to what I should be doing. And there were many times, and let me tell you, it was very difficult for me to have worked mostly out of my home because at that time, pre-COVID, we really didn't have these types of meetings where it's okay to have virtual meetings or whatever it is that we did, right? It wasn't the norm. And so I was working out of my house and as I'm folding my laundry, I'm thinking to myself, I should be doing more. But it was very, very tough for me because I needed a lot more direction in what I should be doing to be able to seed my career. And that was really when I decided that I was going to enter into the CCIM mentorship program, which, by the way, is instituted by our district, which you've been president, and I'm going to be president next year. And that was really where I started to understand what I would need to be able to build my career in commercial real estate. Now, mind you, I was already being mentored by again Ben Crosby because of this portfolio that we had been representing. But still, as trying to build my business and building my pipeline, it was a very, very tough transition for me because I was a very successful residential real estate broker prior to transitioning into commercial real estate. So how I overcame that was just strategically thinking that I needed more help, like you had alluded to earlier,
Yep.
and that's how I got further along in my business. Thankfully, with Robin Webb, who was my mentor in NAR Real Vest, and those along the way that sort of helped me through that transition period. So that would be kind of the answer to your questions, and I appreciate that so much. Nobody has asked me that question before. But Amy, I want to thank you. You are a very successful broker out, especially in the Winter Park area in the Orlando MSA. And I know you're a busy woman. You have two beautiful, beautiful kids, a husband who loves you, and of course, so many other activities that you are engaged in. And I want to thank you for spending the time with me today, inspiring my audience. And so, before we go, do you have any parting words for those who are listening in?
No, I mean, I thought you had some great questions, but I think, I guess, one thing that I maybe didn't touch on was, and it goes back to the other things, is I think mental health has had more prevalence lately. And so part of the ways I got better at saying no was having support of a counselor and, role playing, all these different things and really visioning, maybe having someone outside of business that can help you with personally having those foundational tools that will not only help you with personally, but then into business. Because for me, I think I just am innately that way to take on more and more and more and more and more until I would get like overwhelmed and then burnt out. And so basically kind of retraining my brain in a way that now I can operate at the best, optimized level and not be worried and not have a fear mindset of those different things. And so I think it's okay to ask for help in a multitude of different ways. And so that's something I tend to like to share with people is it's not a dirty word anymore. And I think it's just like anything else, like going to see your doctor, and if it's something that would be beneficial to you. Not everybody needs it, but for me, it was helpful.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think that that's very important. Mental health is sometimes the most important thing when you're going through so much, and that's really what will help you overcome so many things that go on, within your heart and within your mind. So thank you again. I just want to say I enjoyed this. You are such a good friend, Amy. You've been so generous with everything that you've shared with me. um, Outside of this podcast, you have been an inspiration to me personally, and again, I always look forward to doing things with you through Power Beacons or CCIM or anything else that we're doing out there. And thank you for always thinking of me when there's a referral out in my county.
I got you. All
Thank you. So take care, and I'll see you soon.
right. See you soon.